week, I think, Robert, was all the rumors and reports of a possible hostage deal, maybe a ceasefire in exchange for hostages being released. Any update on any of that?
I mean, we heard from an Israeli official today who said, by design, all of this is taking outside of the public sphere. The only thing that we've gotten was that one comment from a Hamas spokesperson saying that there's the possibility that they'd be open to a deal which would release hostages in exchange for a ceasefire of some kind. That Israeli official says all these conversations are going on behind the scenes there. But there is a lot of pressure on the ground here, Connell, from the everyday Israelis that they're putting on their own government to do more in order to get those hostages out. And now you've seen the Prime Minister of Benjamin Netanyahu, his wife, penning a letter to Dr. Jill Biden, First Lady of the United States. That letter is quite powerful, and it says, you know, first and foremost, writing to you as a mother, as well as that there are so many children that are inside of Gaza that are being held as hostages. Some pregnant women have given birth there purportedly as well, and asking for the United States to do more in order to try and get those hostages out. There is a lot of pressure here, Connell, in order to do more, in order to get the hostages back at some point. And the Israelis have made it abundantly clear, until they get those hostages back, this ground operation is not stopping.
And
Connell?
we've certainly seen that's the way it's played out on their end. Robert Sherman, once again, live in Tel Aviv. Thank you, Robert. Let's bring Major Glenn Ignazio in on this, retired from Air Force Special Operations. Joins us on the program once again. It's good to see you. Your thoughts on the hospital raids that are happening inside Gaza, the significance of this, the overall war effort, and what you think we should take away from it?
Yeah, good to be back with you. Well, I think it's important that the Israelis are able to find these type of weapons and so forth within the hospital. First of all, it's good that they actually prosecuted this, with the troops on the ground actually going through this and clearing the hospital accordingly so that there's minimal collateral damage. The worst part about this, and this is into the law of armed conflict, LOAC, is that when a facility, such as a hospital, which is a protected facility, is used by either direct or indirect to support a aggression against the state, like it was by Hamas, it does make it a lawful target, and I'm glad that Israel did not strike it. So again, Hamas is the one that put the hospital in danger. We always have to focus on that because really information warfare is being lost by Israel. But that is definitely important. I think once we see what's going on in the tunnels and the complex underneath, it will be definitely interesting to show basically the public of how incredibly astute and how complex these tunnels and command and control centers are within the area and within Gaza as a whole.
All right, let's bring our maps up that we use here so we could just illustrate exactly where all of this is. First of all, Israel attacking near these Gaza hospitals and the raids that we're looking at right now. You want to talk about Al-Shifa Hospital. So again, that's the one on the maps that's right in here, right in the northern part of Gaza. As a matter of fact, if we take a look at a closer view of that, you get a sense of how populated that area really is, Al-Shifa Hospital, where it is. And I think to Major Ignazio's point, the tunnel system. So these red lines that are on that map, that is the Hamas tunnels that are thought to be under these Gaza hospitals, not only Al-Shifa, but other hospitals in Gaza. Fact of the matter is, some of this is dated intelligence. We don't know a heck of a lot about what's there now. But to your point, maybe that's what comes out of this. Is this a big moment in this war efforts? Obviously a big moment from the humanitarian side. We've been talking about that, but what about for the Israeli war effort, getting inside these hospitals, maybe seeing these tunnels?
Yeah, I think it's a big step, and it may even be, a suggested tactic of being able to prosecute a mission like this in the other hospitals, and to be able to control that and secure that, so that the hospitals can be used as they should be for the sick and the injured. So that might be a tactic Israel takes. I think it's very important for that to be established so that they can protect and provide humanitarian aid into this area. But as we said, with that tunnel system, as complex as it is, it's unknown. I mean, there's been unknown tunnel heads that they've popped out, attacked IDF, and gone back into the tunnels. So it's going to be very important to figure out where these are, and that's the real mystery and the dangerous part of this event.
Yep, it no doubt is, and you don't know how that's going to play out, and the next couple of days could be very, very interesting in terms of how it is. I mean, what would you think would be the IDF's next move here? What if they have from the military's point of view, what if they're forced to engage in some sort of a ceasefire? If political leaders, negotiate a 5-day ceasefire in exchange for the release of hostages, as has been rumored, how would that affect this operation we're talking about?
Well, I think any effort to release hostages is definitely a prime objective. I agree. But one of the things that they have to watch about, and or watch, is when they opened humanitarian corridors, they gave a 3-hour warning and they opened it for 4 hours. And the reason for that is so that Hamas would not use those corridors to move their militants around areas and to be able to regroup and attack. So this entire effort, because the military force is overwhelming against Hamas, is they don't want Hamas to be able to reorganize, be able to pull together and attack IDF more intensely. So that is going to be the issue the longer that they have a pause for. So the international community and the globe is really pressing Israel because of what we see happening in Gaza. But it's really going to be a military strategy and tactics about how long they do a ceasefire. But if you release at least 50 hostages, that may be worthwhile for a day or maybe less. But 3 days, I think that may be pushing it for Israel to hold that far.
Yeah, 3. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.